everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another video. Today I'm going to be doing another writing update, and this one will be more positive than my last one. Yay! So in my last writing video, I was talking about how depressed I was with writing, and that's a thing, and it happens, but it's not happening anymore because I hit 30K last night, and that was really exciting. So my manuscript is now 32K. And that's really all the news I have to report. I revised part 1 of my book, and now I am halfway through part 2, which means I'm about to write the most difficult scene that I've ever had to write in my entire life. So now that I've told you guys the exciting news and the fact that I broke my writer's block and that I am no longer a bumbling ball of brain mush, I'm going to do a Q&A because I asked you guys for questions last time and none of you responded in time for me to film the video, but I saved your questions so that I could answer them in this one because otherwise I would have nothing to say to you, and that would be sad. Question number 1 comes from Megan Scott of Instagram. I'm just really bad at names. I'm sorry. I know who you are. I'm just bad at names. Same for everyone. And you asked, how do you do college, being married, and social media, and writing all at the same time? And having a job. Yeah. So here's a fun fact. I find that when you actually look at a clock, there are more hours in the day than you think there are. So you sleep for 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours. Let's just say you're me and you wake up at 7 and you go to bed somewhere around 10 or 11. That leaves you with roughly 15 or 16 hours. Let's just say I work 5 of those hours at my job. 2 of those hours are at school. That leaves me with 9 to 10 hours left of free time to do house things like cleaning or hanging out with my husband, and then plenty of time to do writing and homework. Did I miss anything? No, and then all my spare time is spent on social media because I'm a millennial, and what else do millennials do but spend too much time on social media?
Your job is to spend time on social media, though.
I know, I'm making a joke. This is why I don't film when you're home.
Sorry.
Also, I always film on days when he has long shifts at work so that I'm not spending time in front of the camera when I could be spending time with him. But basically, my number 1 tip and trick is to just get one of those planners or use your phone that writes out every hour of the day. Because when you actually fill something in to the hours it takes you to do that thing, you come up with more hours left over than you thought you would, like I said. So if you have 16 hours in the day that you're not sleeping, roughly, you might have more, but let's just say 15 for math's sake. Bleh. Say you have roughly 15 hours in the day that you're not sleeping, and you spend 5 of those at work and 2 of those at school, then you have 8 hours left to do social media stuff and free time and stuff and cooking and cleaning and all the wife things. So have to say, when you look at it that way, there's more time than you think there is. So look at a clock is my advice. Is that good advice?
Good advice.
Basically, I just need coffee and then I'm good. Jesus_and_books, aka Rebecca, asked, what do you do when you get bored with your WIP? I don't really get bored. At least I try not to get very bored. I mean, I get writer's block, but I don't know that I get bored. The only time that I get bored with a project is when I'm editing it, because I hate editing so much. I like drafting. I don't like editing, but I realize that without editing, everything I ever write will be trash. So, but I do get really bored when I'm editing. And I guess just force yourself to do it, because that's what I have to do. And then there are like 500 billion questions from Audrey, because she's like the greatest friend in the world, and I'm just gonna answer them. Favorite point of view to write from? This is pretty easy. Third person. I like first person. I appreciate first person when it's done well, but I'm definitely a third person kind of person. Specifically an omniscient third person, which basically means that it's not just from one person's perspective, which sounds weird when you say third person, because you're like, isn't it from no one's perspective because it's third person? No, it's from the perspective of whoever, like there is perspective in third person, okay? I don't really know how else to explain it, but in third person, it's narrating how something is being seen from one person to one person, if that makes sense. Basically, third person regular is, then she saw this, then she saw that, she felt this. Like, it's talking about one character and how they're feeling and how they're reacting. Third person omniscient is when you have, he said this and he felt sad. Then she said this and she was surprised. Then that guy over there dropped his jaw because he was so shocked by what that weirdo said, who was angry, like where you're getting multiple people's reactions to different things that are happening in the story. I'm a writer, I promise that sentence just sucked grammatically. Thing you've learned from trying something new. Can it be anything new that I've tried? Because I don't know if anything I've learned specifically from trying something new in writing. I guess, here's a good example. I used to think that you did not need friends to be a writer, that the definition of being a writer meant being sad and being alone and locking yourself away and being a hermit who watches life happen outside your creepy upstairs window for your whole life, which it doesn't. Writing is actually much easier and much more fun when you have other writer friends to hang out with. So the best thing that happened was when I joined Instagram and tried to create my writerstagram, authorgram, bookstagram, gram thing, the Jennagram, and then I made friends and I found the C.S. Lewis to my J.R.R. Tolkien, which sounded weird, but what I mean is I found writer friends, and now I am not alone and I'm happy and I have encouragement and support, and writing is fun, so yay. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Moral of the story. Ooh, weak aspects you know you have to work on in your writing. And then your strong points. Okay, so I describe my writing style in my first draft as soap opera writing, because it is extremely dramatic. Like, everything, just every emotion is magnified 10,000 times %. I'm just like, my characters are happy one minute and the next they're raging balls of fire, and then the next minute they're happy and in love and But basically, my characters are like bipolar, manic, soap opera, extremist characters in my first draft. They're like, okay, I would not say that they're unrealistic representations of human beings, because I'm a really dramatic human being, but basically they are very unrealistic expectations. They're unrealistic illustrations of a human person. They go from like 0 to 100 in sentences, and mere sentences. And yeah, I tend to just rush everything. I don't build up emotions very well. It's just 1 minute they're sad, and the next they're killing people, and right after that they're planting a flower garden, and then they're going back to war. So basically, my weak spot is that I have a soap opera writing style. I don't really know how else to explain it. So yeah, basically that my writing has a tendency to be really overdramatic in the first draft, but by the second draft, I have a good basis for an actual story. So yeah, that is my weak point. How do I name my characters? Well, my characters are all from like ancient civilization times, so typically their names had to mean something. And like, you know, either it was a family name, or when they were born, they had a personality trait and then they got a name. So typically, so So typically their names had to mean something, so I spend a lot of time looking up name meanings and seeing if they fit the character's personality very well, or if they might have when that character was younger, or yeah, stuff like that. And then I have to look at a lot of weird name sites because their names all have to be ancient Hebrew names. So yeah, it's fun though because I like it because their name often correlates to the kind of character that they are. And so that's just fun. All right, I had to swap out cameras really fast, which is why the angle and everything has completely changed from what it was. So my apologies. My first camera battery died, so I had to switch. I should really just get multiple batteries, but that's beside the point. What?
You have multiple cameras, but you don't.
I don't have multiple camera batteries. So that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a small, short Q&A style video with a writing update. What am I doing with my hand? If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more because that is helpful and encouraging. I have no other information of which to impart on you all good citizens. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!